Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here today with you all because, as you heard, I started my career in secondary education, and I know how important your roles are in our schools today. And the work that I'm doing at PAYA is really connected to what has been happening here at Kalamazoo with Career Launch Kalamazoo. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about our work and a little bit of the national scan and landscape of where youth apprenticeship is today. So first of all, PAYA is the Partnership to Advance Youth Apprenticeship, and it's a multi-partner national initiative dedicated to advancing youth apprenticeship. And our goal is to restore the link between American education and economic mobility by expanding options for young people to high-quality post-secondary options. So led by New America, PAYA is a collaborative of leaders. You can see these are all of our partners, and the Partnership to Advance Youth Apprenticeship means that we all work together. We have two national hubs where apprenticeships are taking place. So one of them is Trident Technical College in Charleston, South Carolina, and the other one is CareerWise, which originally started out as CareerWise Colorado, but has expanded to multiple states in the United States. And so a little bit more about PAYA on a bird's eye view, bigger scale, is that we advance the field of youth apprenticeship. So one of our buckets is the Grants Initiative, which Career Launch Kalamazoo is one of our grantees. And in addition to receiving some funding, they also receive technical assistance, support, networking with other apprenticeship leaders and communities. So that's our first bucket. We also have the PAYA Network, which Career Launch Kalamazoo is a member of. And our PAYA Network just hit 100 members. It has grown since its inception in around 2020, and it includes individuals and organizations like school districts, companies, employers, community college systems that are implementing youth apprenticeship, and they get to receive free technical assistance. They attend webinars. They have opportunities to come to in-person meetings. I know some of the folks in the room have actually been to in-person PAYA events, which bring together a lot of stakeholders to discuss how to further advance youth apprenticeship. And then the last bucket of what we do at New America, and it's part of my job as a senior policy analyst, is to do policy research and communications to further advance youth apprenticeship. So some of the work that I've been doing in the past year, one, we did focus groups with both high schoolers, recent graduates, and their parents to understand what is the conception of youth apprenticeship today. And we are seeing a lot of changes. It's now, people are a little bit more familiar with it, and when they fully understand the scope of what it can look like, they're very interested. There is a growing, I wouldn't say dissatisfaction, but change in the college is the immediate pathway to let me consider my other options, because of things like debt and uncertainty with outcomes and where graduates might end up. And also just this concern that young people change their minds. They may go to college and they may think they want to be a nurse or a teacher or an environmental scientist, but they get 2 years into their degree and then they're like, oh, wow, I don't really want to do this. And this is where you'll see youth apprenticeship can be such an amazing tool because it allows young people to earn and learn and to discover those things about themselves, and the stakes are a lot lower. So PAYA's work, we do three main things. We support place-based partnerships, and so that is things like Career Launch Kalamazoo to increase the number of youth apprenticeship programs aligned to PAYA's definition, which I'll talk about in a minute. We also facilitate learning and innovation. So we have a lot of live events, a lot of webinars, we have in-person meetings. We co-host the National Youth Apprenticeship Summit every single year, and there are opportunities for folks from our grantee sites to attend these events if this is something that you become really interested in. And we want to support the wide-scale adoption of youth apprenticeship. We want to see this grow as a solid option and opportunity for our young people today. And then the last case is strengthening the case and evidence base for youth apprenticeship. So I mentioned that our work is also research. We're wrapping up a qualitative study talking to employers who do have youth apprenticeship programs and finding out what are the return on investments in terms of indirect benefits. So a lot of times when you hear about apprenticeship, you hear about for every $1 invested, you get $1.68 in return. We want to talk about things like training the managerial pipeline. So employers have folks that supervise apprentices, we're noticing that those individuals are gaining a lot of leadership and management skills from working with youth apprentices. That's a bonus for employers. There's other findings that are going to come out of that study, and it should be released in the next month, so we'll be sharing that. But you can find a lot of reports and a lot of research and evidence about why there's such a strong case, not only for young people, but for employers who are typically our hardest sell, in case you are not aware of that. So PAYA by the numbers. So I mentioned that I don't think I told you when we launched. We launched in 2018. And PAYA has really been the leader in youth apprenticeship work in the United States. We are now in phase 4 of our grant cycle. So these numbers are from August 2024 through April 2026, but we have given 22 grants to the field, as you can see, the value of our grants, the number of youth enrolled, the number of employee partners. That's for our grant work. We also have the PAYA network, which elevates even more work in the youth apprenticeship space. And then we also have a lot of policy research and communication that we develop. So we are really growing at PAYA. In the last few years, our team has increased, and we're supported, as I probably skipped over, by philanthropic funding. So our funders were on this slide right here. So organizations like the Annie E. Casey Foundation, Bloomberg Philanthropies, the Walton Family Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's how all of our work happens. It's through philanthropic funding. And then we are also able to give grants ourselves through the work that we do. So I just wanted to set the stage for what we do, so why you understand how broad our work is, where we are. We're in communities all throughout the U.S. supporting youth apprenticeship programs. So you're probably wondering, if you're not fully well-versed in youth apprenticeship, which is its own special flavor of apprenticeship, what is youth apprenticeship? Well, it is a structured, work-based learning program designed to start when apprentices are in high school or high school aged. Several of our programs are moving to starting right after high school, but we're going to have some findings on how that work is going as well. If your state has a spectrum or continuum work-based learning opportunities, you'll find youth apprenticeship on the far right side in career training or career development. So that's because apprenticeship is a structured program that's designed to train someone to work in a particular occupation. Apprenticeships typically last a year or more, and there's a carefully wrought learning and training plan associated with that experience. So high-quality youth apprenticeships will include 4 core elements. And a note on definitions: there is no federal definition of youth apprenticeship. However, PAYA has conducted a 50-state scan of youth apprenticeship in each state. And so this is an image of the report, which you can find, and I'm happy to share that. And so really, the definition of youth apprenticeship today lies within each individual state. Roughly half of all U.S. states do have a definition of youth apprenticeship, which is great. And Michigan is one of those states. So the 4 core elements. So you've heard probably that apprenticeship is an earn and learn model. That is really key here. It's paid experience. And that is one of the distinctions. You'll hear a lot of times people say, like, oh, it's like an internship. Well, internships don't have to be paid, but apprenticeship, that is a core fundamental concept of apprenticeship, that it should be paid on the job learning. So you are learning under the supervision of skilled employee mentors. Those mentors have really important roles in these young people's lives, as evidenced by the research that we're going to drop next month, and I'm really excited to share. Skills assessment, ongoing assessment that's established where we evaluate skills and competencies. So when a young person finishes an apprenticeship program, they are prepared to enter the workplace in that occupation. Formal instruction, so related classroom-based instruction. For PAYA's definition, we want this aligned to post-secondary credits. So the related classroom-based instruction can happen through community colleges. It can happen through 4-year colleges. Sometimes it does happen in the K-12 and the high school classroom. And then credentials. It should culminate in a portable, industry-recognized credential, and as I mentioned, post-secondary credit. So this is an example. I don't want you to take this as this is exactly how it has to be. But this is an example. It's one of our more popular ways to explain youth apprenticeship. And this is actually what we showed to our focus group participants to explain to them. So multiple options exist for students who complete an apprenticeship. And that's what we call it our snake diagram, shows you. So year one, and sometimes high school models have 2 years, sometimes they have one year models in high school. So don't think that this is how it has to be. But students will enter into their job. They will take their high school classes and their college classes. They'll have their on-the-job learning, and they'll do that for 1 to 2 years. They have their high school graduation. Their apprenticeship could finish at the end of high school, but a lot of programs, you actually go into a year 2 or 3 after graduation, where again, you're still doing that paid on-the-job learning, you're taking college courses, and then that culminates in the program completion. And we like to call apprenticeship an options multiplier, because students who finish youth apprenticeship programs, while they are ready to go into the workplace, they don't necessarily choose to do that. Some of them may choose to continue their education at the collegiate level. Some of them may continue to work at their employer and also continue their education. A lot of employers will pay to continue their studies. And so they end up with a transferable college credits, industry-recognized credentials, their high school diploma, professional network and mentors, and paid work experience. And as you see, these are the options that exist for students: full-time employment, full-time education, or a combination of the two. So I'm going to share this video. This is interviews with our PAYA Youth Council members. So we are now reviewing applications for our 3rd Youth Council. We actually convene about 12 young adults who have participated or are currently participating in youth apprenticeship programs across the U.S. We learn together, we prepare to do research together, and we culminate all of their work in 1 year with an in-person meeting in D.C. that they get to present to stakeholders in the apprenticeship community. They've gone to visit the U.S. Department of Labor and present their findings. It's a really amazing experience, but I want you to hear from the young people themselves, because I can tell you all about youth apprenticeship, but they have lived it.
The youth apprenticeship has supported me in so many different ways. Honestly, I would dare say the youth apprenticeship for me was life-changing.
A youth apprenticeship is a paid-to-learn opportunity. You can work in your field, get real-life experience, hands-on experience, and the roles that you want to live for the rest of your life. Your career starts now. That's what an apprenticeship does for you.
With my apprenticeship, I learned how to do elevator pitches. I learned how to speak to people, network with people, just put myself out there.
My apprenticeship has supported my career goals by giving me the knowledge I need on equipment, on the knowledge on tools, and understanding pretty much everything I need to know in the mechanical field.
Youth apprenticeship has supported my career goals by showing me what I'm capable of. Learning to find your place and learning to find rhythm definitely has benefited me and my overall workplace experience.
I didn't know my job existed before my apprenticeship. And then now I found out it exists, and it's great. I love it, you know?
Apprenticeships are an investment companies are making to you. They want to see you succeed, so use that resource.
The outcomes are like they literally feel so cool. Like, you get the certificate and you get to put it on your resume that you worked. You met like amazing coworkers that you can use as references later. It's just, the output is amazing.
If you're not sure what you want to do an apprenticeship. If you don't know what career you want to get in, do an apprenticeship. If you don't know what you want to major in, do an apprenticeship.
All you have to do is apply. Apply, apply, apply.
So one thing I failed to mention, sometimes this happens, is that you may have a preconceived notion that apprenticeship is always in the skilled trades. It is not. And as you saw from the job occupations that these young people have, they are product designers. They're working at companies like JP Chase, Accenture in New York. They're working in healthcare. They're working in the culinary field. They're working in education. They're working in IT and cybersecurity. Apprenticeships are growing in all different occupations, and if an employer is willing and looking for talent, they can also have an apprenticeship. So there's a lot of support at both at the federal level and that PAYA can offer to help employers design and develop. There's already templates for almost most occupations you can think of on how to structure apprenticeship programs. So I want to talk a little bit about the core partners in youth apprenticeship because that's really the folks that are here today. So we typically see youth apprenticeship as having some sort of an intermediary organization that is anchoring all of the work. And that can be one of these individuals on the outside. So the intermediary or lead partner coordinates the activities of partners to support the apprentice and program success. In this case, it's been Kalamazoo Public Schools who's been functioning as the intermediary. Sometimes it's the community college system. Sometimes it's a third-party intermediary, and there's different models. There are some organizations that will do a lot of this work for you, and you pay them. But you're very fortunate that you have Dr. Miller, who's just done such a fantastic job here, and you have it within your own backyard. So we have an industry and employers. They identify skills, requirements, and build the training plans, and they deliver the paid on-the-job training. You have high schools that design and deliver related instruction and supports and help students graduate, because that is a key part of youth apprenticeship. The young people are going to finish high school during this time. And then colleges and universities. These organizations design and deliver the related technical instruction, and they grant the credit and the credentials. And so all of these organizations work together to be the core partners in youth apprenticeship. Now, PAYA has principles for what we consider a high-quality youth apprenticeship program. They're things like career-oriented, equitable, portable, adaptable, and accountable. So we want to ensure that youth apprenticeships are high quality and meet the needs of all stakeholders. So we want to provide this clear guidance to organizations that are looking to design or develop youth apprenticeship. And we have a lot of ways that we think about it. So for career-oriented, we want every student to have an experience that's going to prepare them for the place of work. Equitable, we want to make sure that your program acknowledges local equity challenges and strives to ensure equitable access across industries involved in the program. For portable, when we think about portable, we want students who finish a youth apprenticeship to be able to transfer those college credits or expand their options with a credential to other places. Maybe we hope that they'll stay in Kalamazoo, but maybe they'll end up going to college somewhere else. We want to make sure that the credits they've earned during their youth apprenticeship will transfer with them. We want to ensure that the credential that they get is applicable in other places. It's not going to be super helpful if you're getting a credential that only works in one city in the United States. And then adaptable. We want to always be understanding that industries are changing, the world of work is changing. You know, I haven't brought up AI, but like that is changing. And so we want to continue to adapt to our circumstances. And then we want to be accountable. We have student, employer, and program outcomes. We monitor these through PAYA, as you saw through that chart of how many grants we have and the work that we're doing and how many apprentices are being served. We always want to keep each other accountable. So I'm going to give you two examples of youth apprenticeships in action in two different locations. So I picked examples that really align with the work that you're already doing in Kalamazoo, but then also work that I think you might be interested in doing. So first, we have a youth apprenticeship in education. Our grantee is the Launch Apprenticeship Network in California. And so who are they? They're a program sponsor. They actually grew out of working in a school district to do youth apprenticeship to actually becoming their own organization because they were doing so much work. So Launch offers 40 occupations, 6 different industry sectors. They're considered an intermediary, like I was showing you in that chart. And their goal is to connect high school students to local community colleges through CTE pathways, to increase the number of youths entering into registered apprenticeship programs, and to create entry-level pathways that allow youth to explore different careers. So we're specifically looking at their educator pathway. So there's a 6.2% annual growth for occupations in education in California, and that's worsening an existing teacher shortage in the state. CNUSD struggled to fill their paraeducator positions, leaving key roles unstaffed. So the solution was that this college system launched a CTE education pathway for high school students serving as both the educator and the employer, very similar to the work that we're doing here. They partnered with Launch to develop and register this program and implement a formal apprenticeship program to build a sustainable talent pipeline. So, and I'm sorry, I misspoke. CNUSD is the school district. So this is an example of one of their student journeys, and I thought this would be really helpful for you all to see. So student journeys, student pathways, especially aligning with state goals, CTE work, is really important when you're talking about this. And I love the idea of backwards planning. So if you look at in 9th grade, students are able to take some exploratory courses. Then by 10th grade, they have the option to enter the Teachers of Tomorrow program. It's a pre-apprenticeship program, serves as an introduction to the pathway. They can also have another entry point in 11th grade. So maybe they're new to the district, maybe they didn't show an interest before then, they can also enter in 11th grade. And apprentices are employed by the Corona Norco USD, Unified School District, as teacher aides. They do on-the-job training for 15 to 20 hours a week. California has really high wages, so please don't let this concern you, but $16.90 an hour is their starting wage, and they receive a $1 an hour increase approximately 6 months into the job. They also do things at the bottom like enroll in a pre-apprenticeship class, apply for their programs, complete an orientation, and once they graduate, the completed youth apprentices continue college courses and education where they may enroll in a new RAP. So you've probably heard of stackable credentials. If you have an IT path or cybersecurity path, think of this as a stackable apprenticeship. A young person can do a youth apprenticeship program to work towards becoming something like a teacher aide. They finish that program, they're able to be employed, they have their credential, but they really want to become a classroom teacher. Then they enter a registered apprenticeship program in education, and they work towards finishing their requirements to become a full classroom teacher. So in education and healthcare, we're seeing this idea of stackable apprenticeships work really well with youth apprenticeship because the students can be prepared in high school. It also allows them to kind of try it out, taste it, see if they like it before they fully potentially commit to a registered apprenticeship program. So what does success look like? The first cohort launched in 24 to 25 with 2 high schools, 18 apprentices registered, 17 completed. That's a very high completion rate. The second cohort launched in July, 33 apprentices registered. They're all still active as of December. That's when I reached out to this organization. And so they've used this success as a launching board for other occupations. They're doing a cabinet maker and IT support specialist apprenticeship now. So this is their advice. Generate buy-in from the decision makers. You all are big decision makers, so you want to generate buy-in and working with the HR and union to address the program design and wages prior to implementing the program. Work with CTE teachers on program design and implementation. CTE teachers are the gateway to securing young people, parents, etc. Switching to healthcare. Charleston Regional Youth Apprenticeships, which is one of our PAYA learning hubs, offers several different healthcare apprenticeships. We're just going to look at their CNA pre-nursing pathway. Again, talking about kind of the idea of a stackable credential. A CNA occupation, a apprenticeship can lead to a credential. You can work in the field in CNA, but we really want to give young people good jobs, family-sustaining wage jobs. So it really is setting them up for a pre-nursing pathway. They can accomplish the CNA in high school, but then they can move into that registered apprenticeship program or just being trained directly by the hospitals in nursing and doing their college credits. So who is CYRA? They're a regional collaborative community partnership that came together to address some critical workforce needs happening in the Charleston, South Carolina area. What's unique about their work, if I'm not mistaken, they actually serve 3 different school districts. So they kind of sit in the middle of 3 different school districts, and they work with all of them to recruit young people. Their goals: get a high school diploma, certificate from TTC in a career-specific field, and they can all apply those credits to the associate's degree, a national credential from the U.S. Department of Labor, and then approved by the U.S. Department of Labor, and 2 years of work experience. Why did they develop this? Well, they decided to develop this because there's a growing demand for healthcare workers in South Carolina. The industry contributes over $19 billion to the state's GDP and employs more than 230,000 people. And so they wanted to be able to offer and solve a need for their community. Program plan and design. So they do a 2-year youth apprenticeship. Their related technical instruction is at Trident Technical College, which is a 2-year college. And they do on-the-job training with a mentor and scalable wage. These are paid apprenticeships in that earn and learn model that we talked about. They partner with local employers, the school district, and they also work with homeschoolers, charter, private, alternative high schools. So I've actually heard from youth in these programs. I've heard from homeschoolers. I've heard from students from their school districts, and it's just amazing the work that they've done. They were really at the forefront of this work, starting at a very similar time, 2017, when PAYA was launched. So they start in their junior, senior, or graduating senior year. They have various entry points. As you saw earlier in that that kind of scope and sequence, you have different entry points, and that's really important to consider. They take their post-secondary credits at the college, and then their pathways that they have are pre-nursing, pharmacy tech, medical office assistant, and sterile processing. So they complete 1,000 hours of on-the-job training and 25 repetitions per work process. They have their own app called My Apprentice where they track all of this. And then their pre-nursing gives them the CNA plus PCT CE courses, and they graduate with a DOL endorsed certificate. It grew from 13 hires in 2017 to 65 active pre-nursing youth apprentices. They have a completion rate of 65% with pre-nursing, which I think is pretty typical. 50 to 65% is pretty typical across the board. And so they've just sustained a lot of growth in this area. It's a quick little video of the work that they're doing.
The Youth Apprentice program enables us to help take care of patients, but also mentor people into the careers they want in the future.
I think I want to be a mental health nurse.
Their goal is to be a nurse one day, to go be a doctor one day. They get that base here, but they all have to have that compassion to want to help other people.
I'm getting paid while earning an education, and once I start the nursing program at Trident, I will start with no debt. It's great to earn while I learn.
So someone who would excel in this program would be someone who wants to take care of other people. And we want someone who has passion for healing, passion for other teammates. It's a hard job.
A typical day at work consists of, we have 3 sets of vitals every 3 hours, so for the most part I'm doing that, and then in between I'm cleaning patients up, getting blood sugar, helping patients go to the bathroom, anything they need, basically just helping the nurses out.
Teammates really love working out the Youth Apprentice. They feel like part of the family immediately, like a younger sister or younger brother.
I really like the people I work with. They are all very helpful in assisting me and helping me learn, and it's nice talking to them and hearing their stories and how they got to where they are and giving me advice that I need.
The greatest part of it is watching their growth throughout the program, becoming a patient care tech and then even a nurse.
I work in a very good community. I'm on a very good floor with very good nurses, very good techs.
It is an apprentice program where they're learning, but they also really do help in day-to-day as a teammate.
I found out about this job and apprenticeship program through a counselor at my school who encouraged me to go to Trident for nursing.
We have an interest fair for high school students that we do every early spring, and then in the summer the students that are interested, they come and they interview, sort of like a big career interview fair, and we interview all the youth apprentices. And then Roper St. Francis usually picks 10 to 15 youth apprentices to become part of that program after that. I got to meet Megan this summer during interviews. Her goal is to give back to the community. And that's what we're all about at Roper St. Francis. I know that's what the Youth Apprentice program is, but she's there to help other people. And through her interview process, I got to meet her and got to learn a lot about her. And I'm so proud of what she's done so far with us.
The most rewarding part of this job is definitely being able to help people who feel like they have no one.
I don't think there's any ceiling for the students. I think it's for up to each student what they want to put into it.
I see my future now very bright and going very far in life, and I feel like no dream now is too big.
Advice from Trident Tech. Start small. So you saw that they really scaled and grew their program, but they only started with 1 to 3 apprentices in each of their occupations. And that's exactly what you've been doing here. You want to start small. You really want to iron out all of the kinks. You want to have an industry champion, or you want to have the employer really understand the work that they're doing. And then it's easier to scale and grow once you have something really established. Work collaboratively. Bring as many stakeholders to the table as early as possible. So employers, school districts, RTI providers, chambers of commerce, economic development. Teamwork really does make the dream work. I'm sure you guys know that from the initiatives in your school system and in colleges that have worked the best. It's when people are really working together. So I agree with their advice. I want to share that we have something, the PAYA newsletter, and we have a free resource library. So if you want to join, you're already a member of the PAYA network, but if you want to get our monthly newsletter, you're welcome to subscribe to that. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to speak, and I'll share my information if you want to get in touch with me again.